Welcome to Beyond the Prep, a podcast dedicated to providing information and insights into the bodybuilding sport. This podcast covers a wide range of topics from finding a coach to the struggling of competing, nutrition, supplements, cost, and much more. I'll be talking with competitors so you can hear their stories, judges, coaches. If you're interested in sharing your story, send me a note at skapach40@gmail.com. Welcome to Beyond the Prep. I'm your host, Sherry Patch, and I'd like to welcome today Devin Doyer. Welcome. I know you're competing like now.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a quick
For sure.
podcast and then I'll let you on your way.
Sounds good.
So tell me a little bit, how long have you been bodybuilding for?
About 8 years. Competitively 6. So yeah, I did my first show in it was 2017, but I was gonna do one in 2016. Never ended up making it, just due to like at the time I wasn't as dedicated as I wanted to be. So I backed out of the show that I was going to do. So my first show was 2017, and yeah, I've been kind of bodybuilding since. So
what got you into this sport?
it's so weird. Like I honestly started working out because I wanted to look good for ladies. I was always like classic, right? I was a skinny kid, 6'4", 165 pounds. You know, I was a skateboarder. I just loved sports in that way. But I was sick and tired of being skinny and just like always looked as like a frail guy.
Yeah.
So I started going to the gym because of that. And then about 2 years in is when I started falling in love because it was more of a therapy for me. I grew up with a lot of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts for about 8 years, and I didn't have an outlet. And fitness wasn't really the outlet at the time because I was kind of, like I said, in it for a different reason. When I started unlocking that, it opened up a lot of doors for me. So it really locked me into that sport. And so that's why fitness became a big part of my life, and competitive wise gave me that outlet to kind of strive for something each time, each year. So yeah.
Nice. So that's it's kind of a savior in that way, right?
Yeah.
For people that struggle. There's so many out there with that.
For sure.
Definitely stirs you in.
Especially not doing medication.
Yes.
I had never touched medication. Like I touched it, tried it, but I never do medication for anxiety and depression. So I just use music. I just don't believe it. So I think that there's more powerful things out there that are natural.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's amazing. So, and it's working for you. And everything's going really well.
Yeah, it's exciting. So
good. So in competing, like this has been your peak week. Any struggles, anything? What's the hard part of this last, even the whole, when you're in prep?
I'd say for me, because it's different for everybody, but for me, I'm working a job, so I'm doing 11-hour days, 5 days a week, construction. Luckily, luckily I'm inside, and luckily my job isn't physical in the way of my arms; it's more physical in the way of I'm walking a lot on concrete floors, and being in such a deficit. It feels like I'm 80 years old. Like I'm walking and my legs are just so heavy, and so I'm dragging my feet everywhere I go, and just having no energy. That was probably the hardest. Outside of that, it would have been just peak week where I'm overthinking my strategy and like worried about like, oh, am I doing this wrong? Am I eating too many carbs? Am I, am I holding water? Like, oh no, like freaking out about that and stuff because I don't have a coach, right? I'm doing this on my own.
Okay.
So yeah, self-coach.
Congratulations on that one. That's amazing.
I just don't. Not that I don't believe in coaches. I just think that for me, with like what I've seen is possible with me, I think that it'd be more rewarding to earn my pro card as a big self-coached guy. So that's kind of why I went that route. So
yeah, and it takes, I feel like, so much more commitment and dedication because you don't have someone to be accountable for. You are strictly accountable to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's harder.
So good job on that one. And it must be like, do you take any time off when you're getting close to your show just because of the exhaustion that it takes out of you?
So I usually do. Like this is all like money based. So I recently, like before this job that I'm doing right now, I was actually out of work to a point where I was almost homeless. I almost lost my place. I just didn't have enough money. Actually, I had to ask my mom for money, which I don't like. I try not to rely on her. she had to help me out, and I lucked out and landed a job right after that happened with the film industry that I'm in. And so that's the only reason I was able to compete. But like in that position, it's just like, like you worry about, like, should I work my job and then compete while working that job? Or it's like, take that time off, focus on the, on the competition, but also risk you're losing now money.
Right.
So I lucked out with my job that I was able to work solid through, and then they are on a hiatus because the writers for the show I'm on are on strike. So they forced everybody to take 2 weeks off.
Oh.
But it was a week before and a week after.
Oh.
So I landed the perfect, most like heavenly gift of like, you get your peak week off and the recovery week off.
Week, yeah.
So it's like, for me, I'm in heaven right now with just being able to focus, enjoy the time with my family, and really just like do what I love to do. So.
Yeah. Things happen for a reason.
Exactly, right. So.
Wow, that's incredible. That is great. So what you know now, and what did you wish you knew then when you were first starting out that you know now?
Well, there's a lot. Like first thing I say is alcohol is your enemy. I don't drink anymore. Like if I do, it's like 1 or 2 drinks a month, if that. So alcohol is like your worst enemy. You are capable of more than you think you are. You just have to have the drive. Like you have to want it enough to really find it. I think a lot of people lack that, and I lack that. I want it, but it's like I didn't know why and I didn't know how,
Right.
and I just kind of was like coasting along. And then all of a sudden one day I was like, my dad passed in 2020. I didn't really get to talk to him much. He was into drugs and stuff. And when he passed, it kind of like lit a fire under my butt, especially with my mom, because she was always been my #1 supporter. And so it's like, that drove me and was like, that's my why, is because I was a failure as a kid. Well, I classify as failure. She doesn't think so. I did a lot of bad things, made a lot of bad choices in my day, where this was my way to make up for it mentally for myself. If I can really work and do it, that, I am capable of it. And so it's like finding that drive and being able to be consistent with it. And so every day through that prep, it's like, I'm reminding myself, like, do it for them, like do it for yourself. Because if you do this, then you can do all these other things. And then once those things started happening, during my prep, I wasn't just prepping for the show. I was actually building stuff on the side. I built 4 charcuterie boards just for fun while taking no breaks at work. So I'd eat my lunch and quickly go back to building what I was doing. I got certified in personal training, and I also re-uploaded, like I started back up my clothing line so that I could start selling stuff again, because I put it on hold for a while. And so I started doing that and reaching out to people and whatnot. So that's kind of like what happened when I started getting stressed. I was like, I can do so much more. So I kind of just started pushing myself. And every time I got challenging, I would work even harder, because I felt like, well, if this is challenging, I'm going to work harder, make it worse for me, because it'll get better. It's just the way it was processing it.
Yeah,
So.
Right. If you work for it, like you can achieve it.
Yeah.
And it is, a lot of it is, remember your why.
Exactly.
And even before you start, like, why do you want to? Like, you really have, and sometimes you got to dig deep. It's there somewhere, but some of these things get buried, right? And we just forget about it.
Exactly.
So that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
great. To come back from where you were. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So be proud of where you came from and how far you've gone.
Yeah, win or lose today is not about, it's about just being in the best shape of my life and being with my friends and family and setting a milestone for the next goal, so.
Yeah. And it's great inspiration.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to try and inspire as many people as I can. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Telling your story.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. So if someone's new and considering bodybuilding and doesn't know, like, what would be your best advice for them? Always
ask questions. Don't feel there's a lot of ego lifting and a lot of ego, things going on with pride, and people go to the gym and they just don't lift properly. They don't ask questions. They don't research. They find one source that may not be correct and they follow that instead of just, take things with a grain of salt, put in the work and really focus. And, if you don't understand something, always ask. Be like a reporter. That's how I see it. reporters always ask questions.
Yeah.
Why do you think they have so much information? Because they ask so many questions. So instead, just do your research, Google everything, YouTube everything, ask your friends, ask your bodybuilding friends, ask some of the guy at the supplement store, and just keep going. And eventually you just start building a library of all the knowledge that you've learned from all these different sources. And then you can compile it together in your own way, and you can test it out on yourself, right? Like, not everything's going to work for you. Certain rep ranges, certain diets work for each person differently. I'm 6'4", I have to do 15 to 20 reps to grow, whereas someone who's shorter could do 8 to 10 reps to grow. I have to eat 4,000 calories a day, if not 5,000 to grow. Some guys only have to eat, you know what I mean? Some guys have to eat clean the whole time.
Yeah.
I can eat dirty the whole time and still have a six pack. Like it's it all changes. So you got to learn about your body, and learning about your body is also using other people's information, trying it out, seeing what works and what doesn't. So
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah. True. Definitely a science, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And to compare, like, you just can't compare because you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like where they're at, even though it's like, ooh. So
Exactly.
really, it's only you against you.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
It's always you against you.
Yeah.
I always say like the one man wolf pack.
Yeah.
The people only support you when you're already doing. They don't support you when you're in the background, and it's only you that's there. So that's what that matters most. Because when you can get past that, when you're alone by yourself, when nobody's watching, and you can work and put in that consistency, when people are watching, it's just that much better. So
That's great. That's great. Perfect. So I'm not going to keep you long because I know you get to go back on stage.
hopefully for fourth place.
So
Cross my
fingers crossed. I'm going to hope to get down there and watch you.
Yeah.
And wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it.
And I just thank you for coming and sharing your story.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
For sure.
Correct.
I'm always available anytime on Instagram. So if anyone wants to reach out and ask more questions, I'm always available on open books.
Perfect.
I want to thank my guest today and my listeners for joining me at Beyond the Prep. If you like this episode and want to make sure you don't miss any others, please subscribe. You can also find us on YouTube.